Hi there guys, this is Farmer Bob. Welcome back to my channel guys. Great to be back guys with another video. Yeah, it's been a few days or maybe a week or two, I can't remember. But anyway, I'm glad to be back guys. If this is your first time on my channel, a great warm welcome to you. And yeah, let's get stuck in guys. Yeah, do remember to like and subscribe. I always say that because it's important, you know. But anyways, yes guys, so at this moment I'm busy just doing some work for a friend, and he's asked me to do some logos and stuff on a mod. Now the mod that we're going to have a look at is this one. It's community FS22 community building, fairly nice building. So we're going to do some decals and some logos and things on the building itself. So I thought I'll make a video on that to help anyone that wants to have a bit more info on the process, and this is basically what this video is all about. So good. So let us get stuck in with this. So first of all guys, there's two ways to approach this. You can make a sign with a backing plate, and this is especially handy when you have a decal that is see-through. In other words, it doesn't have a background, or it actually needs a background. Then you need a backing plate. So let's first do that. Let's make a backing plate, and then we've got something to put a decal on, you know. So very handy to have is a backing plate with a background color that you can select, say a certain color like white or black or blue or green, and then place your decal on top of that to make the decal more visible, or that type of thing. And then also you've got just a normal sign that you want to make, and just add a diffuse on that, which is actually your picture. And I'm going to show you all of that. So there's two parts of this video. One is the backing decal, and then also just a sign that you want to put on a wall or something like that without a border type of thing, you know. So let's get stuck in with that. Great. So now the first thing we want to do is create a backing plate for our first sign. So in order to do that, I'm going to give you a tip there. If you work on a physical building that is stationary, it's okay to have the sign anywhere in the building. But if you work on a mod or a vehicle, not a mod, a vehicle, a vehicle is a thing that moves about, so it's very important to place the sign or the decal that you put on the actual item that you are busy putting it onto. In other words, if the vehicle has got a cab, for instance, find the transform of the cab. So it's very important to have that distinction. In this thing, if I can show you, the visual tab of this is the whole building, but it has got certain sections like the floors and stuff like that, the roof and that, you know. So it's important to not mess around with the nodes, the index paths of this. So it's always best, if you're in the visuals, for instance, to put your stuff at the bottom of the visuals thing. Don't put it on top, because it's going to change the order of the index path. So you don't want to mess around with the order of the index path. So if you're in a transform group, put it always at the bottom of the transform group. So it's best to just drop it on top, and it will automatically go lie at the bottom of it. So if we, for instance, now for this job, let's create just a primitive, and I'm going to go cube this time. You see there? So I'm going to take this. There's two ways. Middle mouse button, drag and drop it on the visuals is the one way to do it. And the other way to do it, I just want to drop it here at the bottom again, is Control X for X-ray, and then drop it, click on the visuals or the transform where you want it, and then Control V for Victor, and it will drop it in there at the bottom for you automatically. Very important, this spot. Don't mess up your hierarchy of the index paths, because what happens is your XML pulls certain things when it places this building in the game. When it places this building in the game, it will use this index path. So if you mess around with that index path, some of your stuff in your building is not going to work, like lights and doors and switches and all that kind of stuff might not work anymore if you messed around with the flow of the index path, you know. This is actually called a node in your i3D mapping section of the XML. Right at the bottom, it's the mappings that maps your naming of the indexes in the XML points to the index path or the node for that specific item, you know. So very important tip here, guys. All right, so that's the one thing I want to clear up. And then when you open a vehicle, let me just show you on a vehicle, for instance, Farming Simulator 22, data, vehicles. Let's just go for the lizard. Lizard, I know that pickup. There's a pickup. All right, so when you're in a vehicle, it's important to have, mind you, this one is not going to work so nicely. So let's go to man. I think there is a man. Or yeah, man, yes, these cabs, for instance. So if you're in a vehicle, if I open this quickly, it's important to place it in because what happens with vehicles, sometimes the cabs move. And another big tip, you see the view that I'm currently in. Do not move anything on this view, because this is actually your outdoor camera. So if you open a vehicle, it's different. A vehicle is different from a stationary mod like a building, because a vehicle has got moving cameras. It's got a passenger camera, it's got a driver camera, and it's got an outdoor camera. So these cameras that is sort of handling your view. If you go here to camera, you'll see there they are. You see, so what's going to happen now is if you move this camera about, your vehicle is going to start wobbling and falling about if you move the angle of the outdoor camera, because your outdoor camera is where you start in a vehicle, and then from there you can press C to go into the vehicle, to go into the driver camera, you know, that type of things. So a very important tip here with the cameras, guys. If you want to work on a vehicle, create a camera first. So go create camera, like there, and go into your view, switch the camera to your new one that's called camera. All right, and now you can move the camera about, and now you will see there's the outdoor camera. All right, so if you have moved the outdoor camera by accident, exit the mod without saving, come back, follow this procedure, or you can just select back into view cameras, outdoor camera, and if you have moved this, say for instance forgot about it and now it's in the wrong place, what you can do is just switch to your create a new camera, switch to this camera back again. I'm going to show you, or just first, before you do that, while you're still on the outdoor camera, sort of get it in approximately the rear view like that, where you want to drive from. Don't go too close, guys, because that's annoying. So have your camera a little bit out, a little bit like that, and then you go to view camera and switch to your other camera. And now you can select that camera by going into the vehicle, find cameras, and select the outdoor camera, that one there. And now just change, the only thing you need to do is change the X to 0. This will zero the camera to the center. If I can undo that quick, I'll show you. It will place the camera exactly on the center line, which you want to have it on 0. Now the height and the angle, the angle is not really that important, because that we've already set when we sort of placed it in a nice view direction, and the distance and all that, you know. So the only one that's important is that you're in the center of the vehicle, that you're not there on the side, because it's going to be weird and the vehicle's going to make weird things. You can do it for a test. Take your mod and move this camera to the side, and you'll see your vehicle will start flipping and rolling over and do funny things when you drive it. You know, it will, even in the garage, it might do funny things when you want to buy it. You know, you go purchase and you select that little, and it displays the vehicle in the garage or in the shop, not the garage. It makes funny things, guys. But anyway, enough jaw flapping about that. All right, so that is the one thing I want to let you notice on cameras. Now, when you create, once again, if you put something on the cab, all right, find the cab if the vehicle has a specific cab. All right, so very important. I'm just going to sort of select something there. So that's LOD2. No, I just want to go see if this vehicle has got a separate cab, because it's very important to have it. Now this is all just separate things. Passenger seat. So in this case the vehicle does not have a separate cab. the cabin LOD. Nope, it doesn't look like it. So very important to check. If your vehicle's got a separate cab, go into that transform for the cab, and then drop your sign at the bottom of that transform, so that when some of the cabs move about, so if you put the decal on the vehicle transform and the cab moves, the decal will come and go, you know, it will disappear and appear. When it's stationary, it will be there, but the moment you start driving around corners and the cab moves, then you're going to have a problem. Alright, so tips, all the tips that I can give you on that I have given you. Okay, so back to our building. So we've created this little cube. Now the cube, first of all, is a 3D object, and you want a 3D object for the backing plate because it's a visual thing. So what we want to do now is create a transform for it, drop it in there, and call the transform. Oh, by the way, in the new editor you can double click here, and you don't have to go up here for the name, but you can double click there and put the name in there straight. So it's a little bit of time saving stuff when you're in a hurry, you know. But for the video I need to work slow, because obviously I've had a few comments that sometimes I work too fast, you know. So yeah, I'll try and slow down a little bit, you know, because sometimes when you work fast and click 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 click, it's annoying on the video to try and follow, you know. So yeah, anyway, so transform, let's call this sign. Okay, I'm just going to call this sign, let's call it sign 1, because if you've got more signs or whatever, and in fact we can just call it signs like that. Have a transform for signs, and then just drop the cube in there. Alright, so now we've got our own transform at the bottom of the visuals tab, which is fine, and then now we can start playing with this cube. But I always forgot, guys, first thing you want to do always with the cube is notice here it's got unnamed material. Now you can't change this, unfortunately, in the editor. I think maybe in the future Giants will have this globe moment in realization that maybe we should actually have the guys be able to edit and change the material name here, you know, to create new materials and all that kind of stuff. But I suppose in future versions of the editor it will be nice. It's something that's very needed, you know, because now I'm going to show you, you have to change this, because now if there's anything else in this whole mod that has a unnamed material, if you change something on this cube, it will also change that, because now remember, material in the game is a physical thing. And if unnamed material is linked to anything else in this whole mod here, when we do changes here, it's going to also change that. So we can't change the cube now. So in order to fix that, what we do is we go to cube, go file, export selection. I normally go with files in this case, because I found if you just do export selection, sometimes it does not change the material name to what we're going to call it. All right, so I think first of all, let me just quickly see what sign we will put on here. Let's do a Scania sign, because the Scania sign is sort of a decal. Yes, because the Scania needs a backing. Alright, so let's call this Scania. Alright, so first of all, we go file, export with files. And you want to export into your mod, guys. Always export into your mod. Don't export to your desktop and work there, because it's going to create links and stuff in the i3D that you don't want to any other place than your mod, your actual mod folder, you know. So stay in your mod folder, create a folder there. I'm going to create a folder here for signs, like that, and then open that up, and let's just call this Scania. Mind you, if you want to do more than one, you can just call it anything, just call it sign. Alright, like that. Because if you want to do more, you can come back to that i3D. Because once you've imported the i3D again, then that i3D you can actually delete, because it puts it in your map i3D. It converts the i3D into your map i3D, so you can actually delete the old i3D. You know, it's always good to get rid of all the i3Ds that you've imported. Especially if the i3D is not Well, only, not especially, only if the i3D is not linked via your XML system. So if you've got a placeable and you've got a custom i3D, do not delete it because that placeable calls the i3D, remember? The placeable calls the XML and the XML calls the i3D, so do not delete those. But I'm talking these things where you work with Signs and other stuff that you can actually delete the i3D. Alright, so first of all, save it like that. You got the parent directory structure. I normally say no here, but because we're working on our own map, it doesn't matter if you say no or yes. Alright, so the parent is actually our map. So if you want our map structure, you say yes. If you don't want, you say no. So it doesn't really matter. So in this case, I'll just say yes. It doesn't really matter. Game relative paths, in this case, always important because we are working in our own mod, and they might, if there is stuff that's linked to the game, then we want that paths like shaders and all that to stay in game, not in our mod, you know. So that is very important. So if there's a shader here, for instance, there isn't at the moment, but if there was, and you say yes, it will stay in game, you know. It won't pull it into your map, which is very handy to say. So let's say yes there. But when you convert a mod, for instance, from FS19 or a map or whatever, in that case, you're bringing something over from another game into FS22. You do not want to say yes there, because otherwise it's going to keep the paths to FS19, and that is going to give you errors in FS22. So that is why you say no there in that case. But in this case, always yes. Alright, good. Enough jaw flapping. Good. So now that we've got that cube, I'm going to leave this cube here. We're not going to use it, but if I want to export another one, for instance, then I've got one here, you know, so I'll just leave it there for now. Going back into our building, and then we've got our signs, and there's our i3D. So now, first things first, you right click this i3D, go edit with Notepad, and you see there's the unnamed material. So double click that and call it what you want it. So I'm going to call it Scania material now, because that's the sign I want to make now. So Scania material, and then save it like that. Alright, I think let me just get rid of all these other XMLs here, because I'm busy making another video on the cats of Hof Bergman, how to get the cats into your map. There's a few guys that have been plaguing me for that, so I thought I'll make a video on that. So busy with that, guys. Anyway, so Scania material, so we've saved it, and now we can close it. And now the next very important tip is, before you import it, just open it up in the editor and check that it has changed the name. Yeah, you'll see here by material name. If you click on cube, there it is, Scania material. Alright, now the cube, I'm just going to name this cube now Scania. Alright, just like that. And then while we've got it there, I'm going to save it and close it up. Alright, very important to do the save, even if we haven't changed anything. Just do a save, because I've seen it does help, because sometimes you pull this i3D in and then it's still on the old unnamed material. It just happens like that. I don't know why it does that, but I've realized that when you save it again in the i3D, then it will be fine. So now we're going to pull that Scania in, import community building signs sign. Alright, so there it is, and you'll see the name has changed, which is a good sign. I'm going to drop it in here, there, and it's got Scania material here, which is what we want. So now it's got its own material. It's not linked to anything in your mod. That is the most important thing that you can do if you work with materials, is have its own material that is not linked to the rest. Because if you work in a map, think of all the thousands of materials in a map, and some of them is going to have the same name because it's duplicated in different places, you know. And if you change something on that, it's going to change the rest of them too. So very important distinction there. Even if you change the name here, it doesn't change the material, guys. You can't change the material in game or in the editor. It has to be changed outside, unfortunately. Alright, so now the first thing we want to do, we need some size this thing up. So we want to place this, say for instance, on this building here. So I'm going to go just here. So if we want to place it here on the wall, for instance, we need this cube to be thin. It doesn't need to be thick like that. So the very first thing is check the direction of which you want to use it, that way or this way, and then just change the scale on that end to 0.001. You can make it a bit thicker if you want a thicker backing, but you just need to put something in there. It can't be 0, guys. If you put it 0, you'll notice you won't be able to change it off, or you will be able, but I mean, it does funny things if it's at 0. So just put it at something, so it's at least a thin little plate, you know, that type of thing. So I'm going to grab this, Control B, and just drop it on the wall, just there, so that it can be flat on the wall for us. All right. So I want to put a sign up here, and I put the sign up here that says Scania. Okay, like that, for instance, or a decal or something. I'm just thinking maybe I can put it on the side wall. The side wall is a bit bigger. Yes, all right. So I've just made the wrong size on the wrong one. So I'm going to put that one there and put this 0.001 and see. Okay, that X, the Y is the height. All right. So we don't want that. So it's 0.001, and you can actually, if you want to, you can just flip the thing around with the rotation, but then your rotation goes to numbers here, which I not always like to use. But if you have if you work on a vehicle that's got various kinds of slopes and angles and things, then it doesn't really matter. Then you can obviously go and fiddle around with this the rotation, you know. So that's something that you can do. Good. All right. So now, next thing. Next thing. I'm just thinking now what to do next. All right. So we want to color this thing now, because our decal, if you put a decal, if the gray backing is fine for you, then it's fine, because you can leave it gray like that, because some decals looks all right with grey, but this specific sign that I have is going to require a dark background, because it's got white lettering on it, and white lettering on a white backing this doesn't work nicely. It's not visually appealing, you know. So let's just scale this thing up a little bit, up to the size I want. So let's do a backing that is, say for instance, that size, almost place it like there. It's a fairly big sign if I look at it that way. I think something like that will be all right. Okay, so now let's do a color for the background. Now there's a few ways of doing a color. There's a quick way, and there's a way where you do your custom colors. You can actually, let me just have a look here. If you go into the albedo map, you can actually select one of the in-game stuff. That's the short way of that. So we go there, click on the albedo map, that 3 little dots there, and then it will open that thingamabob there, and then you click here on the color, find the change single color texture. Now let's go into the game, go data. Now there's a host of colors in game and stuff from all the maps. You've even got the default here, which is textures, and then shade. And then if you find any color in here that you like, you can select it, but be aware that normally these things that you see are stuff that's in the maps, and they've got different normals, so you're gonna have textures on them. But if you want to find something like, for instance, just a black color, one of the maps, you can play around with it. Even the props have got stuff, but like I say, be aware that you're going to have normals with we're not going to make use of normals, because it's just a backing of text, backing plate, you know, so you don't need texture on that. You just want a flat thing, you know, so no normals is needed. But there's a lot to choose from, you know, a lot of colors and things. And just have a look at the billboards. These are signs that you can use in the game. If you want, you can just grab one of these and drop it in there, and it will give you obviously that billboard. For instance, let's use this one for instance. If you select that, it's going to drop that sign in there for you. So it's very simple and easy to do that if you've got already made diffuse. You know, that's the one, the other way, that easy way of making a sign. But we want to just do a backing for a decal now. So we want to have a background color for the plate, and the decal is going to be on this plate. So let's do that now then. Maps, and then go into Map Alpine, textures, and here's a whole host of more textures and stuff to play with, you know. If you can't find something that you like or that works for you, downstone rubber. Downstore rubber. Now this one is nice for anything that's black. If you open that up, you'll see immediately it looks like that, and if you come close, it's nice and black. You see, so that's a good backing. But I'm going to show you now how to make your own of anything in game, you know. So first of all your textures in game is resolution 512 by 512. So something to note, data, maps. So just grab any texture you like, as long as it's in this. Don't do a ground texture, because ground textures has got some other stuff in it, you know. So go into, for instance, we can use that same one we had now with the rubber, but that's if I can find it now again. I think it was in Map Alpine. If I go Maps, Map Alpine, textures, was it rubber? Let's find it. Okay, it doesn't really matter. You can take any one as long as it's one of the props, not a ground texture. You don't want to use ground textures for that. Go into Shared, Map Dirt. Don't use a dirt one. Map Alpine. Alright. Just want to see if I can find that rubber again. Where did I get that from now? I think the easiest will be just grab it and click here. It's Alpine Textures Downstore Rubber. Okay, so I was close, guys. I was close. So it's Alpine Textures and then Downstore Rubber. So just press T, and it should take us to T. There it is. So what you do is, when you open this manually in Notepad, not Notepad, Paint.net, you can see the texture here. I can close that for now. Grab your color palette here. Choose the color you like. I want black, and then just go click here on the paint bucket and drop it there. Alright, and that should color your whole thing black like that. And then we're going to go File, Save As. Very important, always save in your mod folder, the actual current mod you're working on. Alright, Community Building, Signs, and then I'm just going to call it, just going to leave the diffuse, and then I'll call it black backing, just like that, black backing diffuse. Alright, save, and when it brings up this, go DXT1, area diffusion, perceptual, and MIP maps, and use gamma correction. Make sure those are selected, click OK, and all is well. If you want a normal for this, there are a way of creating a normal from a diffuse in Paint.net if you have the actual normal Map Plus extension. So you can download this from the Paint.net website on the internet. Just download the extension and install it according to their installation procedure, and then you will have this extension. So you can create a normal from this. Just leave it by there if you want a normal for anything, and then just File, Save As, backing plate. What I'm going to do, just rename this to normal like that, and then save it. Alright, and there you go, generate bitmaps, same drill, and there you go, close it up. And now we are here at Signs, and these are normal and our diffuse. So if you open the normal now, it should be a normal color like that, blue, and then the black one should be black, like that. Great. Okay, so now we have got mostly everything sorted there. Now first things first, on a cube, when you work with a cube, it's a 3D thing. So when you try and put stuff on it, it's going to give you errors like you're going to see now. So if we go to normal now, so we have our scanner material. So let us change this now to the one we've made, mods, community building, signs, and use our black diffuse. Alright, just like that. And then add the normal if you want a normal. I never use a normal in this case of just the signs backing, but if you're busy with something else like a door or a window frame and you want some texture, some bumps and actual texture on the actual color, then yeah, you want to put a normal map. Alright, so normal, there are two ways you can do a normal. The one we've made, or you can use one of the in-game ones. I'll just show you one of the in-game ones. There's if you go data, maps and textures, shared, there's a default normal here. You can just select the default normal there and click it OK. Now this is where you get the error. It says the current selected shape does not provide following vertex attributes required by the current material tangent. Alright, so it just says that this thing that we are busy making doesn't have all the required vertices. So it's simple and easy. The shape is not set up for adding material to it. So you can do a few things here. If you're going to upload your mod to ModHub, very important, just select the ones I select here. That two, leave non-renderable, that two, and very last one, the tangents. Okay, cool bananas, just like that. So let's try and do that whole process again and see if it's still complaining. Normal map, go in there, back into default normal, open it up, click OK, and the error is gone. You see? Alright, so that is the one normal you can use if you want a normal. The other one is the one we've created, which is in our mods, and then community building, signs, our normal backing, like that. Click OK. Alright, so now we have a sign backing sorted out. It's been a long process to get to here, but it's important information that I'm sharing with you guys so that you can see the process. And for each sign you want a different material. So you're going to have to export this cube, or just go into, you export this cube with a different name over and overwrite that cube that we've saved, or you can just go into the i3D itself, change the name, and change the name of the i3D. It's a bit of a longer process, but yeah, you will get there eventually. Alright, so as long as you make a material for each sign that you want to make. Now when you duplicate signs, it doesn't really matter. You can duplicate the sign as many times as you want, and it won't be a problem, you know. So but just keep that all in mind. Alright, so next things, guys. Now we want to bring in the actual sign. Now for the signs, if I go into my desktop, I'm going to go a different one, desktop, map stuff, decals. Here we go. Now I've got logos here. Let me just see, Scania. I've got the Scania sign already, but I want to do it with you guys from the beginning. So let's go into decals, brand Scania. There's Scania. Brands, let's look at, I think there's a Scania in here. There it is. So let's copy this one from our list of decals. Control C. And by the way, this FS22 brands XT, you can Google that. It's just a thing that I've downloaded off the internet. It's a nice thing with all the brands in it. It doesn't have all the brands, but there's a lot of it in there, you know. So just grab it off the internet. Just Google FS22 underscore brands XT download, you know, and then you will get it. Alright, so copy that. So we can Control C, drop it in your sign. Always work in the folder, in your mods folder. I can't specify that more, how important this is, not to work out of any other folder than your mods folder. Whatever you want to bring into your mod, put it in your mod first, then you work with it, because it generates links to different stuff. You will not know how many guys have emailed me and Discorded me, oh, this thing doesn't show up in game. When I open it in the editor, it's there, but when it's in game, it's not there. And then it all comes down to links, guys. Links that's been formed when you import stuff into your i3D. Very important. I can't stress that more, you know. So just drop it in there, and now we can work with it. All right. So once again, I can now take that Scania. If I just put that Scania now on top of this, it's not going to work because it needs a black backing, you know. But if I want it on anything that is just like a thing, like this cube, for instance, I'm just going to show you what happens if I import that straight into the cube or onto the cube. It might do that. Now you've got a thing with visible sides, you know, so that you don't want. So that won't work. Just delete that. If you want to just do the decal on its own, which is what we're going to do now, we're going to import the decal on its own and place it in the middle on top of this. Alright, so what we're going to do is create now a plane. For a decal you need a plane. So primitive plane. We drop the plane on the Scania because we want that plane to be part of this thing here. Or first of all, sorry, before we do the plane on the Scania, have it there first. I'll just call it, I'm so used to going up here to rename. I have to relearn these things, you know. Scania sign or decal. This is a decal. Okay, Scania decal. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is grab this Scania, grab the translation, Control Shift and C, copy them, put it on the Scania, Control Shift and V for Victor, like that. Alright, then it puts it there. And now rotation, same thing there, rotate is 0, 0, 0. On this it's 0, 0, 0. Alright, it looks alright now. Now we can drop it on there and it will be fine. Alright, so now it's going to be in spot where we want it, and we can now pull this down, Control Z. Sometimes it does that. It's very sensitive, especially when your scaling is different. So we want to take the scale then of this, Control Shift C again, put the scaling on here, Control Shift V. Oh, and it doesn't work, and I think it's because I've done it now. Let's just undo that, drop this back in here at the bottom. Alright, like there. Grab the Scania. Why is there not two? Oh, it's placed it there, that's alright. And the scale now of that we want, Control Shift C. It looks like there's a difference in scaling between the things, but it's not. So we drop it in there now, Scania decal. Alright, so now you see one of my things is now moved, so I cannot change that. The moment you paste it in there or change that scale there, it disappears. So I'm going to go Z, Control Z, Control Z. Alright, so now I've still got the decal size there. Move it a tiny bit forward so that it is just a tiny bit forward, because you don't want it in the actual backing. Alright, so now we can drop it in there. Let's do the rotation first before we get there. So rotate down is going to, not sure, it is the X. If I move it, I see the X is moving up there. So we're going to do the X, rotate X 90 degrees, and then see what happens if we add it there. Alright, so let me first add that decal to it. Unnamed material. Oh, the same problem there, guys. Remember, you're going to have to go through the same draw. Export the decal, import the decal, change the material name. Okay, so very important. I'm not going to do it for the tutorial sake of time, so we have already handled that, but you're going to have to do the same. Export, import, so that you can change the name to a different material. Very important. So now the albedo or the diffuse, we want to add the Scania to it, like that. So open, like that. And now we can change the rotation to 90. I just want to see which one it is. So it's not that one. Could it be this one? Where is this? Because sometimes it's like behind you and you can't see it. Where's my thing? Okay, let me just undo everything that I've done so far. Undo. There you go. Now we can still see it. So let's add the Scania to it. It should be there now. Alright, good. So we've got it. And now we want to do the rotation. Have I moved this forward now a little bit? I can't remember now, but let's do the rotation now of 90 degrees. There you go. You don't want it too far, and you don't want it too close. Just want it to look very nice. I think just let it come out of the thing a little bit, just like that. Okay. And then now we can place it on top. Now that we've got it in there, drop it on the Scania like that, and we can stretch it. Once it's up there, we can stretch it to fill the sign. You can now actually use the same. You can't anymore. Once you're in there, it changes all the dimensions, because this is already stretched, and now you're stretching inside this stretch, you know. So it's crazy how these things work, but yeah, you just do it like this, fit it nicely. I wonder if I can, let me just take this back like that to where it was. I wonder if I can use that same scale now as the Scania. Control Shift C. What will happen? Control Shift V. Yeah, you see, that's where the weird things happen, is if you do it outside. Alright, so Control Z, just that. Unless what I can do is, if I'm happy with this scale, if I freeze paint this to 1, let's try that just for an exercise. Edit, freeze transformation, and we only want the scale. And preserve instances mean it will only work on this material, on this one set. So if you don't have, it will do all the things in your whole mod, you know. So you have preserve instances and scale. Click apply. You'll see it will make it 1. And now let's now see if we can grab this Control C onto this Control Shift V. I don't think it will work, but oh, it was 1. Oh my word. Or was it 1? I can't remember now. Control Z. We've undid the freeze transform. Let me just redo that. So it doesn't really matter, guys. Okay. Doesn't really matter. Edit, redo. There you go. So it is there. But I suppose at the end of the day, if you want to place something in there, make sure that the scale is then set to 1, you know, just to have things work better. Alright, so let's drop it in there. And then we can just size this up to fit the logo. I'm spending a lot of time now doing extra things, guys, which I don't normally do, but because of the sake of the video and we want to sort of cover all the bases, then there it is, you know. Good, so now we still have our signs XYZ, which is good, or our decal. So we can still move it, and this one we can move about. So what's nice now is, because this is now inside the other one, you can now move the sign about, you know, and copy and paste and duplicate and do everything with it. And that's what you want from a decal or a sign, you know. You want it to be able to put anywhere. So that way you can now have your have a sign on the wall or anywhere on a vehicle with a backing plate, and that backing plate's thickness you can set in the beginning obviously now you can't do that anymore because it's going to disappear. The sign is going to disappear if I do that now. 0.00 or 0.1. Let's just make it 0.1. If you make this, don't know which way I am working. It's going to do funny things, you know. If I do this just don't first set your backing and everything should be fine, you know, the thickness of your plate that you want to put there. I just normally put it as thin as possible because obviously it's a sign on a wall, you know, comes on a steel plate. But if you want it thicker, make it thicker before you put the decal on. Good. All right. So that's the one way, guys. Now the other way is what we've basically already covered with this decal is taking just a plane, straightforward plane. So we create a plane, transform primitive a plane. Here it is. And now see, I've put the plane. It's already come with that, because unnamed material is there and it's already linked to Scania. That is why I say you have to export, create a new material so that everything has its own material, you know. So very important to have that sort of sorted out. Control B, put it up there. Let's fix our rotation, which will be this way around. So that will be 90 probably, and this way around, so that will be 90. Good. And then pull it forward a little bit, and there you can see a decal on the wall. Doesn't look too bad, but obviously you want it to be a little bit bigger, or you want it to whatever. So the only trick with that is create a plane, export it, create a new material for it, save it, import it back, and then once you've done all your stuff, you can delete the old stuff, you know. So now this plane is going to be on its own, and then you just select your branding for it. Whatever decal you put on the plane, it will be visible, and you can move that about. So you can put anything on here. I'm not going to put it in the for the video's sake. I'm not going to put it in here, or maybe we should. Just go brand, grab any brand or anything from in-game. A tip for you guys, if you want to take anything from a vehicle in game, I can even show you how to do that. So if you open the vehicles, thinking of a nice John Deere. Let's go John Deere. Let's go to the 9R. Let's open the 9R. Find the decals for it. Here's some nice decals. So if you've got here a decal that you like, for instance, just going to zoom out a little bit. So I want this little green little deer that's running around. So you can select that and make a decal of it, you know. I'm just going to quickly do it, guys. Copy it, Control C, and go File New. What happens is when you select copy here, and you create new, it will create a new one on the size of your copy for you automatically, which is nice in one sense. I'll show you now. Let's do that there, and then Control V, just paste it in there. It will immediately fit. Now in game, when you work with signs and stuff, if you look at this one, for instance, you'll see that they are all in a specific, they call it a 2n value. So this one can be duplicated into that one. If you take this times 2, it will get 2048. So it's very important, or it must be the same, 2048 by 2048, you know. So important to have that ratio, because otherwise you'll get a warning that your sign is not according to 2n value. So if you open the editor and you see, oh, in the console there's a warning, that is your problem. The sign is not it's not in the right order or resolution that is dividable, you know. So open this, when you got it there, go image resize. It's 273, so I'm going to make this other one 273 as well. Okay, you can eliminate that by, when you copy here, I'm just going to holding your shift button will drag a square for you. Oh no. Why am I shifting? I must be on there. Let me just undo. I've moved stuff about now which I shouldn't have, because I was on selection mode. I want the mask mode. So when you hold shift in the mask mode, it will always drag you a square, which is nice, so you don't have to come back and modify things. That's just another tip there, guys. So when you get here paste, you don't have to come and resize. Oh my word, sorry guys, got some frog in my throat suddenly. Okay, anyway, so save this as, file, save as. Just do a normal PNG, go into our mod, signs, and I'll just call this deer, like so. Save it, 32-bit obviously, and then we can close up here. Now we've just cancel, sorry, not cancel, don't save. Good. Back into our mod. There's our deer sign now. Now when we come in here, sorry, I was busy here selecting a decal for this. When we come in here now and we select that and we try and find our deer PNG, you select open there, it's going to ask you to convert it. Now this is nice, so don't try and convert the things according to giant specs and all kinds of stuff. The editor will do it for you, so you just go yes there, and it's going to place it for you in there. Very, very nice and handy. See, there's a new one. Now I should have what have I done now? I should have taken this plane, exported, brought it back as John Deere material and everything, you know, because now what's going to happen there on the side of the building, it's changed my my John Deere there, you see, or my Scania. So I'm just showing you how important it is to create a new material for every sign that you want to make, sign that is different, you know. So all the Scanias can be the same material, and all the John Deere's the same, and all the whatever you work with have the same material, you know. So very important point that. But here you can now see it's put it all in for us, and you can now go back to the folder and just get rid of the old Deere PNG, because now it would have created your Deere DDS for you there, all nicely, neatly in Giants format, you know. So very nice, handy function of the editor to convert the DDS after the PNGs for you automatically. All right. So guys, that is basically how you create signs and logos and stuff for your mods, and that way now you can now fiddle around and play around, and hopefully I've covered all the bases that I can think of to help you along. And remember, if you get the errors there, just go into your shapes and change the shape folders. For the decals, it's not really necessary, because a decal doesn't cast shadows and doesn't receive shadows because it's flat on a surface, you know. Non-renderable is always there. If you select non-renderable, become invisible. That's what non-renderable is. It makes it invisible in game. This is used when you have triggers. Triggers is invisible, so you use non-renderable key or selection there. That type of stuff, you know. So great, man. I hope it's been very insightful, and I hope it's been helpful, and hopefully you can enjoy making some signs and decals and all kind of stuff for your models and for your mods and for your buildings and stuff in game, you know. Yeah, go wild, go crazy. Great, man, guys. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate. Do consider jumping on my Patreon for support. I do appreciate you guys. In my Patreon, there's some new things in the shop. If there's some stuff that you just browse through my shop stuff, you can buy yourself some stuff there if you like. I've got a few little modified mods for personal use that I've uploaded there, which it will grow as I carry on with converting stuff and making stuff for the game, you know. I'll put it in there for a once-off enjoyment. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and do share my stuff. I do appreciate, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.